Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the collective energies for this week on the 27th of December 2021, and we are still in 2021, much as some of us may almost, I know myself in particular, wish for it to be over now. There feels an emphasis in the air that there is still an opportunity. I was going, my own personal perspective was very heavy in that there were still things to clear and to get through. But what I actually heard by taking my energy higher was that there are still many opportunities to culminate what it is we have discovered. And even just saying that fills me with frustration, almost as if, have I not been here before? Have I not done this? Have I not figured it out already? And what I feel a yearning for is some gentility there, some compassion and some understanding. So this morning's video kind of has been bitty. The energy leading up to it has been quite bitty, almost as if I'm picking up pieces of a jigsaw puzzle and slotting them together. And it feels very relevant to stop and take a look at all the pieces that may be in front of us right now and what the bigger picture is, what the puzzle is behind it. What is it we are trying to build, to form? So let's do that. So this morning, one of the first things I noticed, obviously, was my daily guidance. And what came through from the animal totem tarot, was the honey badger, and it was the 5 of Wands. And the energy around this card was very much that there always needs to be a bad guy. There always needs to be that energy that kind of takes us out of our own individual wants and gains and makes us look at what is good for everybody. Now, I know in the UK potentially we may be having a speech from our Prime Minister about lockdown or circuit breakers or how we move forward in 2022, especially for the first few weeks of 2022. But for myself, over the last few days, I almost feel as if I've been stepping into this bad guy. I need to straighten my back with that, into this bad guy energy, in the sheer fact that there are certain things going on around me that I no longer wish to feel vibrationally. I no longer wish to stand in anymore, because for me personally they are causing what I perceive as unnecessary pain. So the most compassionate thing for me is to say that's enough with that now. And that can come across as cold. That can come across as standoffish. That can come across as if we don't care. That can come across as a bad guy persona. So that came up this morning. And the second thing that's just come up is I work a lot with colour therapy. And I was looking at clothes to put on, and I felt really drawn to a pink top and pink bracelets. And for those that know me, I don't do pink. Very rarely do I wear the energy of pink. And that intrigued me, why I felt so disassociated from a colour that is connected to the divine feminine, from a colour that is not in the sense of gender, but in the sense of what pink represents, which is heart opening and compassion, and also things like the rose gold ray, the stellar gateway, that higher vibration, the rose lineage. And I really felt an adversity towards that this morning. Since putting it on, since stepping into that ray, that colour, that vibration, I can definitely feel that my own energy has settled. Not that it's become softer or more gentle, but that it has settled into its own vibration, which feels very, very relevant today, to really connect to your own vibration without the good guy, bad guy analogies, without, any of the old stories, but just really feeling into your energy now and settling in that. The other thing this morning, I plaited my hair into 2 plaits, and I rarely do that. And when I do that, it's normally if I'm becoming determined about something, if I'm uniting all aspects of myself, the 3 plaits, the 3 strands are normally uniting me, spirit and the earth. And to do that in 2 separate plaits, it just felt very, what's the word? Soul-like. Again, really stepping into that soul energy today. I've just gone to collect some cards for today's reading, and I felt very undecided between the animal cards, the mythical tarot, and the light seers tarot. Really, really undecided. And the reason I felt undecided was the animal cards felt too harsh. The animal totem cards are incredible because they're to do with our animal instinct, but that felt a bit too harsh today. The mythical tarot, they felt a bit too mythical. They felt a bit too spiritual, a bit too, stuff of fairy tales for me today. And the light seers tarot, which I've now decided are the ones that I'm going to use, so I'll put them to one side. The light seers tarot feel very relevant. They are people, they are everyday people, and that feels more stable in the energies, to remember that we are all human, we are all people. We can look at everything from a spiritual perspective, a higher perspective, and we can look at everything from a animal, urge, emotional perspective, but ultimately we are all people, we are all humans, and we are all doing the best that we can do, ourselves included. What's important is to stay in that individually so that collectively we can empower each other to do the same. The other thing I noticed today, I used a couple of sprays, aromatherapy, colour therapy sprays, and I started with Mary Magdalene, the Divine Feminine, and then I felt very drawn to a galactic platinum ray spray, and then I needed something to bridge such high energies and the Divine Feminine, such earthy energies. I needed something to bridge these, and I was drawn to Archangel Michael, which is communication and safety, and Archangel Jophiel, which is beauty and wisdom. So it feels, in order to really get that middle ground this week in particular, it is about feeling safe in what we communicate, by doing so with beauty, by doing so with the wisdom that we have gained. And we can only do that by being in our own vibration. We can only do that by connecting to our own energy here. So where is that all going? It doesn't feel like I need to look into that any further. It feels like the cards will... I know. So the other thing that I was drawn to... I was just about to say the cards will sort out the rest, but the other thing I was drawn to was to get this book down, To Be Soul, Do Soul. And it's by Hira Boga, and it's Adventure in Creative Consciousness. When I say, so what else is there? What are we going to do with that? Once we're in our own energy, there isn't this need to figure things out as much, because when we're in our own energy, we stand into our own blueprint, which has already been predestined. It's about showing up and doing what we need to do in each moment. So I'm going to open this book. What do we need to hear today? So there's 2. There's one about death and one about love, which is really interesting because that's that pink energy, isn't it? The love, but also death is the ending of this year that is coming. And it is what has been rising to the surface for me as well. The different stages of grief. And recently I found myself in the stage of anger, but more in the stage of anger because I feel ready to move forward onto acceptance. But it almost feels as if I've accepted this, I've accepted that, and I'm learning this and I'm learning that, and I'm ready to move forward, but somehow life just keeps bringing me back. And that feels very relevant today that there may be situations around us that almost seem as if they're taking us backwards. But if we've truly accepted what has occurred, if there's really nothing for us to gain by going back to that place, it is about standing firm now with compassion and love for those that may not quite be there, or even those parts of ourselves that may not quite be there, and just being present in that moment and moving forward when ready with that love and compassion. But that comes from standing in that vibration. So, love what is. Love the painful, prickly, knotted, difficult, pig-headed, intractable. Love what grates on your nerves. Love the sensation of grating. Love the fine-tuned fretwork of your nerves. Love the fluid, light, strong, glorious, playful, brilliant. Love what enchants and delights you. Love what makes your heart as soft as dawn, as wide as the sky. Love fierce and tender, peaceful and wrathful. Love muscular, flexible, powerful. Love birth and death in all creation. Nothing changes without love. The true nature of all things is love. Everything opens into the fullness of its being in the light of love. If you want a kinder, more just world, or a kinder world inside your own heart and belly, love what is today. You know, I can say that I've accepted certain aspects of my life and certain things that I've discovered over the last few years, but if I'm yearning to move forward to a degree, I'm avoiding the acceptance that comes from what is, you know, and that feels very needed at present, in particular with the things that may come up to light today, acceptance of what actually is. So the other page, it's the day after your death. Feel into the you who inhabits this liminal space. Who are you now? What do you experience? Explore yourself and your surroundings lightly, playfully. Be curious. Where are you? What's your relationship with your once upon a time body, with the life you've just left behind? What's your relationship with the people and places that were seminal in your incarnation? Who and what and how do you love in your present state of being? What's your relationship with the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars? Where do they reside in your newly liberated consciousness? Who accompanies you in this stage of your journey? Where and with whom do you belong? What do you know now that you didn't know back then, when you were living in the midst of your incarnate story? Play with this exploration for as long as you wish. Once you have had enough, for now, return to your body, to your breath, to your present. Pat yourself all over, dance or walk or run, whatever calls to you. Bring back with you the qualities of being that you discovered on your travels into your future. Let the flavour of that experience perfume your choices and the flow of your energy today. So really, really, really interesting that on the left page, on the feminine, we have all about love. And obviously using the Divine Feminine spray. And on the right page, on the masculine, we have very much about future and what would be after where we are right now ends. In order to bridge the two, there is that need for communication, for the safety of being able to communicate with ourselves and with each other, and for the love and the beauty and the wisdom that can come from that. So today, taking a moment to sit and be with all the things that you love, being really aware of what makes your heart open. Only then can we be aware of the things that we may be resisting. For argument's sake, me with pink this morning, and why we may be resisting it. The reason I didn't want to use the mythical tarot today was because they seemed a bit airy-fairy. They seemed a bit not strong enough to hold the vibration, very much like the pink. You know, that love not quite being enough. And the reason I didn't want to use the animal tarot was because they seemed a bit harsh. They seemed a bit too cold and a bit too shut off and a bit dog eat dog world. And it is about finding that balance, because we are all of these things. We are light and playful and joyful and love, and we are the harsh starkness of endings and death and moving forward. Otherwise, how can we even begin to perceive a future if we are not willing to let go of what is now? But being in the present, in this very moment, how do we apply that to life? By communicating with what we feel, with that compassion and with that love, and finding the beauty that is underneath all of that for ourselves and for each other. I could quite easily look back over the last few days and, believe that people don't want me to move forward, or nothing ever changes, or there's an overlying control over where I am and where I can go in relation to certain things. Underneath it, I can go the next level and feel guilt for wanting to move forward with certain aspects in my life, and, not feeling worthy to do that, to move forward, to have a life of love and joy also. But without any of these things, without any of that safety of listening to my own communication, I wouldn't have found the beauty and wisdom that was behind it all. So really today, listening to what is coming up for you, really feeling into the messages that are everywhere, really, really feeling into them and listening to them. Because in order to move forward, there needs to be acceptance of where we are. And that acceptance comes from actually seeing on all levels where we truly are right now. So I'm going to look at the cards. So the energy this week, please. I do feel acceptance this week. I do actually feel peace. I feel wisdom this week. It can often feel like nothing has changed, but when we go into the space of truly listening, that's when we realise what has shifted. I can feel the odd distractions trying to take us from this place, and that's okay, because these bad guys, be it our own emotions, what is happening around us, the things that may trigger us, are just ensuring that we are ready to move forward, that we are able to stand in our own vibration, our own peace, that we are, able to recognise anything that may be rising that could stop us doing so in 2022. I feel incredibly tired, incredibly relaxed. I can see a vision of just floating on top of the water. And I'm hearing the word respect. Respect the sacredness that has actually occurred this year in ourselves and each other. Too often, I feel like I'm turning away. Too often we can turn away because of our differences and the things that may have been brought to light in regard to our differences. I'm hearing the song Auld Lang Syne, New Year's Eve, and really respecting the sacredness of those differences and how we have all grown this year. Really, really, truly grown this year. I know that our Prime Minister is currently apparently looking at statistics before certain protocols are put into place, and again, I'm not a politician. I don't know what occurs behind the scenes, and I only really receive that I need on a need to know basis. But what I do know is when coronavirus first occurred, lockdown happened imminently, and I'm not going to get into what's right and what's wrong and what they should be doing, because the truth of the matter is I don't know. I think we can all have different ideas of the best course of action. But our Prime Minister's attitude has changed. There has been change. Now, whether you want to say that's negative or positive, there has been change. Personally, as a facilitator of change, I would find it more worrying if there hadn't been any change. So this week, really, really noticing the things that have shifted in your life and concentrating on them for the sacredness that they are. Okay, so energies this week. Yeah, I can really feel that today. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Wow, yeah, overall. So I'm really not surprised by the end of this week to see the Devil and the Lovers come up, because that's the vibration that we are entering into New Year. And this morning I began to think, does it really make a difference from midnight New Year's Eve? How can things change from midnight New Year's Eve one day? And now I hear the song, what a difference a day makes, 24 little hours. And what came through this morning was that that's up to us. That's a choice, isn't it? To step into the vibration that's available. Now, from New Year's Day onwards, we do go into the Lovers. We do go into that vibration of the Lovers, but also the Devil. Numerically, we go into the vibration of 6, which is harmony and choice and progression. From that halfway point of the 5, we start to move forward. But it's up to us whether we choose to step into that vibration. It's up to us to choose whether or not we are stepping into harmony, whether or not we are stepping into balance and moving forward and change and choice in our reactions, whether or not we are choosing to step into the Devil energy or the Lover's energy that is available. Now, in between the pair of them, we have the 4 of Wands for the end of the week, and it feels like in order to get a really solid foundation, it's quite important to realise that they are one and the same. So the Devil, it is that unique way of bringing up all our hidden aspects in order to release us from addictive behaviours or relationships, including with ourselves. And the Lovers is very, very much about that higher connection, that love for ourselves and each other that we can get from this. So the Devil and the Lovers, they're one and the same. And they will definitely form part of the foundation of next year, recognising that they are one and the same, recognising that the shadow aspects outside of us, much as we may not like to see them, much as we may try to cover them up with addictions or certain behaviours or whatever, the shadow brings the light as much as the light does, especially those hidden parts that may be holding back how we love and our very connection to the earth and our very connection to our soul as well. So the bad guy analogy, definitely very much I have an issue with that when I am the bad guy. I do. It really pulls a knee-jerk reaction on me. But it is part of my soul too. There are times when I need to say, I'm not doing that anymore. There will always be a moment where we are seen as good or bad by those outside of us. And that comes down to personal perspective. It is about recognising how you see yourself as good or bad, and knowing that they are one and the same. They are that balance. So let's get back to today. It feels like by the end of the week, most definitely we are. There's a real temptation to jump forward to the end of the week. There's a real temptation to almost bring New Year's Eve energy now, to bring it into now. And hey, what is New Year's Eve? It's celebrations, it's new beginnings, it's putting everything behind us, our differences behind us, uniting and being, with each other. So there's nothing wrong with or right with bringing that into the energy every day. It does almost feel, be wary of being present in this moment as well, because obviously that is at the end of the week. But it feels as if we're almost getting a foundational lesson, like a little taster course of how to manage the energies of next year at the end of this week. So really keeping an eye on that. I'm not really one for New Year's resolutions because I think every day is a new day, but it does feel very strong. The New Year energy feels incredibly strong to put foundations in place for next year, because the energies that we have at the end of the week are identical to the energies for the year. So really looking at what you're doing New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and just taking more of a notice of the hidden messages that need to be taken through to next year. Okay, so let's get back to today. Today we have the star, so I'm really not surprised. We have a great opportunity here of it's that galactic energy that I was speaking of earlier, that higher energy, being able to bring it down. Realising that we're always connected to this higher energy, that it doesn't necessarily need grandiose ways of bringing this energy down. That awareness in itself feels very important today with whatever occurs. Remembering that higher energy is your soul, it's part of you too in everything that you do. So switching on that switch, it can be as simple as that. Is there anything else for today in that star? See, I wanted to talk about how obviously when the star card comes up, we can get very excited about a wish coming true and all that kind of stuff, but that there needs to be hard work first. But I'm looking at the Six of Cups and this feels like a childhood message, and actually I'm not feeling drawn to say that today. I'm not feeling drawn to say that in order to get these resolutions done, you have to put in the graft, that the tower comes before the star, and I'm hearing for someone that doesn't want to say that, you're actually going into it. So I'm going to be the bad guy and say, no, actually, we're not talking about the tower card. We're not talking about the card that comes after. Today we are talking about the star card. And the star card is that higher vision for yourself. Try not to get too caught up in how or where or when, or the things that you've had to do beforehand to get where you are. Just connecting to that higher vision for yourself, like the poems and the words read from the book To Be So, Do So. Connect to that love. Connect to the feeling of letting go of the things that no longer serve you. Just connect to that. I hear ease and grace. So on the Tuesday, we do have the Six of Cups. And there does feel, what does there feel? That's what, that feels relevant for the Tuesday. What do I feel? What do I actually feel here? Next year is the Devil, it is the Lovers, it is the vibration of 6, and we do have a 6 card, which is the Six of Cups. Being aware here of what we feel before we share and receive. Really being aware from what area, I want to do the heart, from what area we are feeling first before we share and receive. Are we sharing our pain? Are we receiving others' pain? Is there anything else for that? Well, I'm really looking at the pink. Really, really, really looking at the pink energy here. That's all, it seems to be all I want to focus on is the colour. The colour pink, yes, but the colour of life. Just to really, really focus on that on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday we have the Five of Wands, and that's actually the card that came up for today in regards to the bad guy energy, in regards to stress, in regards to, on this card, Five of Wands can be stress, but it can also be a turning point. All these different opinions, all these different actions that can be taken, when they come together, can actually lift everything. It can actually unite and work things together, so towards a much bigger vision here. I don't know why, but I'm being really drawn to the flame that in the Commonwealth Games that's being run at the moment. So I don't know what our Prime Minister is going to say today. I have an inkling. But I watched the Queen's speech the other day on telly. I never watched the Queen's speech, but I watched the Queen's speech on telly, and she was talking about celebrating her 70th year on the throne in February. And obviously there's a lot of unknown energy at the moment, and no one knows what's going to occur. But the Queen, the sovereign mother, was speaking about celebrations that would be occurring in no less than 6 weeks from now. So 5 to 6 weeks, which is that 5 of Wands. But the Commonwealth Games was one of them, running with that flame, that light, keep moving with that light. And that's, for me, what she was doing, you know, with everything going on, having lost her husband and everything else, and Christmas not quite being the same for her this year. She was still keeping the light. She was still keeping the hope. She was still planning on celebrating her 70th year on the throne and the changes that had occurred. Her words were a chance to celebrate the cultures and the shifts and just everything that had occurred in the last 70 years. And I think we can lose sight of that when we can't quite be where we want to be, particularly on the Wednesday. We can lose sight of how far we've actually come. And our flame, our spirit, can actually get put out either by others or by ourselves, by surrounding ourselves with others that aren't helping fan that flame. I think it was Will Smith that did a video about surrounding yourself with people that fan your flame, and that feels very relevant on the Wednesday, to surround yourself with people that just help fan your flame, that just help you to keep that light going. It is the 5 of Wands, so they might be bad guys. They might be people that would trigger you to stand in who you are and your vibration. You know, and we see these people as bad guys, but actually, like the devil, they can really bring out that light in us. So really looking at who is around you on the Wednesday and maybe seeing them from a different perspective than what we normally have, and ourselves. So I know, for argument's sake, I can get quite a lot of thoughts that will say, well, there's probably no point doing this, and I know that they're not my higher energy, but I also know that they initiate that climb up to my higher energy, because they make me think, right, okay, that isn't true, and that's causing a lot of stress in my body, and I can do better than this. And I climb and I get up to that higher energy, and that's my own thoughts. So we can get them from people and with ourselves as well, seeing that energy in a different way. Because on the Thursday we have Temperance, and Temperance is the angel of moving from one part in our life to another, the midwife. The whole point of this year, you know, is the Hierophant and Temperance energy. Those figures that have moved us forward with the light. You can't quite see that card, but it has got a moon and a sun, but with the light and dark within us. It can be very tempting to connect to people that see all the good in us, because we can be, I want to go champions. We can be champions of the light, you know, the beautiful, good energy, and that's lovely. We have shadow aspects as well. And there are people in our lives, particularly family, particularly this time of year, that will point out those shadow aspects, that will trigger us, that will cause that stress, you know, that will help us climb to that higher vision of ourselves, that doesn't placate the shadow aspect, that doesn't cover it up, but that brings it up so that we can see all parts of ourselves. That's how we really truly move forward. And this year, very much, you know, I don't know about anyone else, but I've definitely chosen to see all sides of myself as part of the learning curve, as part of true self-acceptance and unconditional love without conditions. Not, I love myself when I'm nice, but I also love myself when I'm not so nice, or what I would see as nice, because actually it's Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On the Friday, no surprise, we have the devil. So is that New Year's Eve? Oh yes, New Year's Eve we have the devil. And you know, this card is beautiful. He is literally just saying, come with me. Come with me, let me help you get rid of all these ties that are around you, because actually in comparison they're very tiny. They're not as big as you think. Yeah, we have the ability to see those shadow aspects on the Thursday and Friday. Wow, it goes one of both ways. It can go two ways. We can either be, okay, so I can let that go and I can celebrate letting that go, or we can drown our sorrows on the Friday. Is there anything else? So I'm looking into the devil's eyes here and the card, and I'm asking, is there anything else? And what I'm really receiving back is, never ask the devil if there's anything else, because he'll always find something for you. It is about us now saying, no, I've seen enough to celebrate who I am, to love who I am unconditionally. I've seen my own light enough to see the light in others. On the Saturday, on New Year's Day, we have the Four of Wands, and there's great celebration here and foundations here. Now, they're not actually in the house, they are outside, and that may be something that comes up for New Year's Day. It may be that celebrations need to be outside more than indoors. But what I'm hearing is keep the home fires burning. Yeah, you know, home is where the heart is ultimately. However you celebrate New Year's Day, home is where the heart is, and nothing and no one can take that away. Interesting. On the Sunday we have the Lovers, the day after, so we're talking the 2nd of January, we literally go into, interesting, in 2021 we have the devil ending the year. We are beginning the 2nd of January with celebration and the Lovers. Foundation and the Lovers, really, really, really recognizing our own spirit and celebrating that going into 2022. We begin the year, feels quite monumental in the actual vibration of it. So for me, next year, I am currently in a 6 vibration with my birthday. I'm also a 6 vibration on the soul level, and next year is a 6 vibration. So 666. There is that devil aspect there. But if ever there was a year where our soul vibration can align with our physical vibration, it's 2022. Without a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. And that feels very humorous and very, what's the word? It's gone. It's gone. By the beginning of the year, by the end of this week, the beginning of the year, it feels very much like there being no more unnecessary communication, no more unnecessary trying to understand things, to give it relevance when it doesn't need it. It just is. By the beginning of the year, and finding out what your is. What it is you love, what it is you choose to celebrate, what it is you choose to focus on, how you connect to others, and being really open to that, surrendering to that, and surrendering to that vulnerability of that with each other and ourselves on the 2nd. So 39 minutes. Overall, we have the 10 of Cups. All those beautiful colours, all those rays of light, and celebrating them all, and, you know, just sitting in the web that we are all weaving, recognizing that we are all different, celebrating this. You know, this year, if anything, has pointed out just how different we all are, but actually just how much we need each other, and just how much that how important that connection is, even the ones we may not enjoy so much, but how much they have taught us about ourselves and how vibrant they have made the world. All the different humans. Yeah. So overall, let's have a quick look. So what I'm really sensing today is to write a gratitude. A gratitude. 10 bullet point gratitude. 10 people in your life maybe that you are grateful for. And not censoring it, just let it come up. You know, you may find people on there that you'd be quite surprised, or aspects on there that you'd be quite surprised. I didn't think I'd be grateful for that, because at the time it was really painful. But actually, in order to see where you are and how far you have come, it is about just taking one last glance back over the last, I want to say 10 years here, but over the last decade, I'm saying 10 years, over the last 12 months definitely, 10 months even, and just, I'll give you a challenge for all the things that you didn't like over this last year. Be the devil. Was there something that you gained in all of it? In all of it, what did you gain? Okay, so I'm going to pull a card because that feels very magician-like. We've got the Two of Wands, and that feels like that's how we move forward now. You know, that's how we actually see the world for its beauty. That's how, especially today, that does very much look like almost being stuck inside and wanting to be outside and travel, but maybe not having that option or even the fear of that. I'm hearing you cannot cage a wild animal. You cannot cage a wild animal, and just really, really recognizing that freedom is and always has been within us. Okay, so overall, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have so much doubt suddenly rising. So much doubt suddenly rising in my mind. 4 major arcanas. We have the Star, the Devil. No, we have Star, Temperance, the Devil, and the Lovers. It does really feel related to the things that we have been trying to achieve, that higher vision, and who we are. Okay, so recognizing that the higher vision of the things that we want to achieve are actually the higher vision of our soul. They're actually who we are. So for years now, I have longed for a place where I could hold retreats, and basically the Four of Wands, where we can dance and celebrate and do ceremony. And a long time ago, I realised what I was actually trying to manifest was my soul. That person that does ceremony, that celebrates, that dances, that's what I was trying to manifest. You know, my image for the retreats was definitely someone more at peace, more connected to the earth. And it is about knowing, in order to achieve the star, what is being asked of us as well. So in order to achieve freedom, what is being asked? Do we even know what freedom feels like? That's a good place to start. In order to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve this year or next year, do you know what it feels like? Maybe feel into it, not maybe. Feel into what that feels like. Take a moment to be what it is you are trying to achieve, and stay in that vibration for as long as you can. Because it's that that's going to move you forward here. And it's also that that's going to bring up shadow aspects in regards to doubt, fear, whether you believe it is possible. And it is also that will reconnect you to the Lover's card, to your very position here and the earth. So I'm going to include a meditation in the comments about reconnecting to heaven on earth, about reconnecting to the earth, very much linked to the Lover's card. I'll do that. Then we have 2 cup cards, which is those 2 of cups, isn't it? It's that balance between the divine and our emotional self. And they're the 10 of cups and the 6 of cups. Finding that childhood joy. That's what I want to say. Finding that childhood joy, that magic this week. Even though Christmas is the week of magic, it feels like potentially this week could be But now I'm feeling drawn to move on to the wands, and we have 3. 2 of wands, 5 of wands, 4 of wands, and that's causing heaviness across my head, across my eyes. It's very, what's the word? Oh, all I can see is a pretzel. Very twisted up, very, very twisted, very twisted up. That the spirit energy and its ability to move forward feels very twisted up this week, and it's because of our connection to our own spirit. It is because of the need to celebrate stress, to celebrate the changes that have occurred, to celebrate the knowing that there takes a certain amount of uncomfortableness, whether that's things that we see about ourselves or each other, or, restrictions that are put on us, or entanglements. It takes a certain amount of uncomfortableness to make us climb to that higher level, to keep us going, to deliver that change. And it doesn't have to be agony, but it does need to stretch us a little bit this week. If we want different, it needs to feel different in our own bodies. Again, that doesn't have to be a positive or negative thing. If we are somebody that is always really, really prepared, maybe just taking a second to feel into what it would be like to let go. If we are somebody that is always the bad guy, that brings things to light that other people don't want to see or aren't ready to see, let me change that, aren't ready to see, maybe feeling into what it would be like to be the person that didn't do that, or that didn't have to point it out, but was just compassionate, aware, but without speaking. I'm really taking this week to dress up. That's what I hear, to dress up in different versions of your own soul so that you can experience them. And that feels almost as if it is lightening it a little bit. There is more coming, and it's almost like with the 3 of wands, we're not quite there yet. There is an opportunity to move forward, but it isn't quite there yet. So really taking time just to sit. I'm noticing there's no sword cards this week. There's no sword cards at all. Okay, so now I know where they're coming. How would it be if you lived your life without thinking about it? And I was going to say overthinking, but no, without thinking about it. If you actually lived your life without thinking about it. I'm not going to pull any more cards. I'm not going to read any more things. That is what's in front of me right now. Take that if it resonates and live your life without thinking about it. This week in particular, live your life. Take care.